So Henry, hear me out.
Yeah, what's up?
So you know how one times one is one?
That's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah, 'cause
I,
I think one times one should be equal to two.
I'm not sure that's correct.
No, because how can it equal one? Because if one times one equals one, then that means that two is of no value because one times itself has no effect.
Uh,
And one times one equals two because the square root of four is two. So what's the square root of two? It should be one,
uh, uh,
but we're told
uh,
it's two,
but
and that cannot be. That's a direct quote from Terrence Howard,
yeah,
who played as Rhodey in Iron Man 1,
which leads us on perfectly to our topic for today, Dylan.
which is Phase 1 of Marvel.
Yeah, we're keeping it simple this time. So it's just going to be us talking about the first few Marvel movies, maybe the best few Marvel movies. We'll see.
Ooh, arguably. I don't
Very arguably.
know.
Maybe not so arguably, but I feel like when you start a franchise or the first few times you're trying this new formula, it's never gonna be
Hmm.
perfect. But
No, yeah.
the nostalgia is really strong. Like it gets
Oh, definitely.
extreme nostalgia factors.
I mean, we're part of that generation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we both grew up with it. So I guess we'll say also that this is gonna be the first in a multi-parter. So the next episode will probably be phase 2, and then phase 3,
Hmm.
and then phase 4, and we don't talk about phase 5 because
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah.
Well, we
Just
will
leave it
talk.
for now.
We will talk about phase 5, but yes,
Eventually, yeah.
when they manage to make a good movie again. Apart from Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
Oh,
that was good.
yeah.
Okay, so what's up first?
First, the
Yeah.
first film,
Yes,
which
what
was
is the first film?
Iron Man.
Yes, Iron Man. Not to be
Iron
confused with
Man.
not to be confused with Iron Giant.
The
Or
Iron Giant, also a
yes,
very good
very
film.
very good as well. Which connects back to our animation episode.
Yeah,
All the callbacks
it's an
today.
unnecessary link. Yeah, okay.
Episode 2 callback.
Yeah, that's big. Um,
So
so yeah, what do you think of Iron Man?
why do you say it like that? Why are you saying it like that?
Of
It's
Iron Man,
it's
okay.
Iron Man, right? Iron Man? Iron
Yeah,
Man.
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
I-
You know,
I've got it in my head now.
I'm surprised that they didn't put a tag. Oh, did they? Did they put the tagline like Invincible Iron Man like it usually or was? Or was
No,
it just
I
Iron Man?
don't think so. It was just Iron Man
It
on
was
the
just
movie poster, right?
short and sweet. Okay. So I think that Iron Man's like pretty well like it's a pretty beloved movie, right? For many reasons.
Yeah.
People I don't know. I think the first time I saw that like suit up, like not even not the Mark One suit up. Mark One suit up was like kind of scary as a kid, but like
Mm,
the Mark Two suit up, oh my, I fell in love. I don't know, like oh
it was a beauty. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
and like, but you know why they could do it? Because
Hmm.
so turns out, right? It's 2008, and the CGI at the time is actually in general not that good. Like it's still
Yeah.
developing, and it overall looks like pretty bad.
Mm.
But what they did learn is that they can actually do tech really well, like mechanical
Yeah, yeah.
machines, like in CGI. It's quite it was relatively easy to do. So
Hmm.
Iron Man kind of served as like the best superhero for the CGI they had, right? Because like
Mm.
if you think of something like Green Lantern, I don't think the
Oh,
CGI was ready for it at the time, right? And maybe now it
no.
still isn't. Maybe it's still too goofy. No, actually, I think now with the right budget, it's probably like easier to do. But at that time,
They
like that,
could do it
yeah,
better.
yeah. So
Yeah.
machines were the way to go. I don't know what their thought process was, taking what was at the time like a B-list character, right? Like now he's
Mm.
super mainstream, but he wasn't
Yeah.
that popular. I loved him. I don't actually I don't remember exactly, but I knew that I fell in love with the comics pretty around that time. So, but
Mm.
yeah. So Iron Man was kind of, and then the whole like unscripted basically, right?
Was it?
Like
Like,
I'm pretty sure not
or like
like
lightly scripted?
lightly scripted. Like they had an
Okay.
idea, but I think
Yeah.
most of the scenes were just like the characters just like going off, and like I mean RDJ just like being Tony.
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty big risk for them, right?
Oh yeah,
Initially,
big
and
risk.
he didn't even get paid that much
No, no,
compared to what he
no,
was
but
paid. Like, I think it
I,
was like 500K
I
for the first film,
I think he's
from memory.
been pretty well compensated since then. Uh, he is
Yeah,
a
you could say
very,
that.
very, very rich person now. But yeah, I mean, without this film, Marvel wouldn't exist, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty,
it would not, or definitely not in the same place that it is
no, no,
now,
no. I
and the
think,
kind of hold that it has on the mainstream sort of audience.
and then I mean, you talk. So what about okay? So let's like move away from nostalgia angle, and
Yeah.
let's talk about plot.
I think it really works well as an origin story for him,
Mm-hmm.
and as a solo film, because it still stays. I mean, it's characteristic of all the kind of Phase One films. They're all quite grounded. It's kind of more, I guess you could say, realistic-ish than some of the later films. But in particular, Iron Man, like, being in the cave and meeting the Doctor.
Yeah,
Um,
Yinsen.
it's kind of dark as well.
It
Pretty
is
dark
dark,
for,
pretty dark.
yeah.
Terrorism and all of that. I mean,
Mm.
at the time, it was also like a pretty big deal, like globally. I'm pretty sure with sudden events happening. I'm not gonna elaborate too much, but yeah. So it was
Yeah,
quite a topical movie,
yeah.
and I don't know. I feel like the
Mm.
I can't help but be like remembering that like giddy child that's like, oh my god, that's so cool, and like you gotta kick that guy's
Yeah,
ass, and
yeah.
he's gonna save the people. I don't know. It was just kind of like, and like you said, like realistic and grounded, right? Like obviously the
Mm.
technology is impossible for now,
Yeah.
but just the way the development of it, right? From this like need for survival, the necessity for this machine
Mm.
that slowly becomes
And
something that's like an extension of him.
yeah, yeah. Going from the cave and the box of scraps to, I guess, time travel or whatever,
It,
know.
oh
I
yeah.
or the nano suit. Well, I'm not
Ah,
sure.
oh, I miss. Like I know that like Infinity War suit up is like pretty cool, and I still like it. But
Mm.
my favorite ones are from the earlier films, like all of the original suit ups.
It just feels so much better.
Yeah,
Like it's more tactile and kind of,
exactly. That I think that's
yeah,
the key thing, like tactile,
yeah.
tactility. Is that a word? I think so.
I
Um,
think so.
yeah, and like there's like mechanics to it. It feels like each part is like moving for a reason, as opposed to yeah, nanotech.
Mm.
Yeah, I can make
Yeah.
a shield and a sword, and do all this cool stuff, which is cool in its own right. But
It's still cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Not the same.
the good old days.
Yeah.
We're like those old men, like reminiscing on like, oh, it used to be better. Marvel used to be
Back in my
better.
day.
Back in my day,
Yeah.
heroes had good stories. Yeah, back in my day, it was simpler times, simpler times.
They really were simpler times. It's kind of, they didn't have all, they didn't need to feel the need to set up as much as they do now,
Yeah,
in the
but
same
we
way that,
still got the Avengers tease, which is great.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
that almost didn't happen.
really.
I'm pretty sure it was like a not last minute, but very like close to the end of production that they were like,
Mm,
we want to do this
okay.
because like obviously they didn't know it was going to be such a success, right? Like
No, yeah.
it was like it had like $135 million budget, which is like nothing compared to what it had like they have now, and also
No,
not
yeah.
that much for a live action like action movie at the time.
Mm,
So it was kind of just like we'll throw some money at this, and if it doesn't work out, then Avengers will never happen. But if it does work out, something must be brewing.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad they they were able to do it.
Yeah, I think, and in no small part to I want to come back to RDJ because like I
Mm,
mean he's like a symbol of a generation, right? Like,
Yeah.
and also a cool redemption story as well.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot that angle of it, like the kind of weapon arms dealer
Oh, that too. But I
turned
was
kind of.
saying, I was also thinking
Oh, oh,
actor.
oh, him personally.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Both.
That's why they gambled on him as well. It was a
Yes.
gamble of a film,
It
and
was
yeah.
a very much a gamble of a film, and wow, I guess some gambles work out, huh?
Well, yeah.
And I
Um,
really like John Favreau. I think that
mm.
he has he has like a kinder touch to some of his movies. I don't know if you've seen the movie, one of his movies. It's the chef one. Um,
Oh, you've mentioned it before, but
it's
I
quite
still haven't
good.
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Chef. It's called actual
Okay.
Chef. I recommend it as well. But yeah, I like his touch to certain things. He's
Uh,
I feel like a more grounded actor, and then now he's just like the happy character, which is great as well.
yeah. Yeah. But no, I mean, RDJ as Iron Man changed kind of how the comics portrayed him as well.
Mm,
It had that sort of effect. I mean, as much of the MCU has now had on the 616 timeline,
mm.
because he was more like a villain in some of the like in Civil War. He just imprisoned like a bunch of superheroes in the negative zone.
Yeah.
Um, and some other funky stuff. Like, obviously, he's still a hero, but yeah, he changed that characterization really. RDG.
I would say for the better, right? Because I it
Mm,
was my understanding that comic book Tony Stark was like like a lot more arrogant and like a drunkard
mm.
and
Oh yeah, yeah,
like
the
just a
drinking problem
dickhead,
later.
right? Like he was
Yeah,
very so like I think that RDJ managed to take some of those qualities and then give them charisma
yeah,
and like a
definitely.
certain humanity to it, you know, like so he's not just this like very uh like exaggerated like typical dickhead. He's like a
Mm,
more nuanced character than just
yeah,
that. So it
kind of flawed but likable, really.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else to add about this movie? How many times have you seen it?
Or Iron Man
Iron Man
probably
1
three times.
3 times.
Probably quite low.
That's you're lacking, bro. You
Yeah.
wow. Okay, well, sorry. Since we're here, well, what's the most you've seen like a Marvel movie or like a movie in general? I guess two questions.
Mm. Marvel film.
And which one? Also,
Oh, I'm not very good at tracking my rewatches. I just
just like a ballpark number.
rewatch
Of course,
them
I don't
often.
know exactly.
Probably, I think Avengers I watched like
That's
five
fair.
times, I want
That's
to
fair.
say, total.
That's
And that's
fair.
probably the most.
I think I'm
Um,
like almost double digits with Iron Man, bro. Just Iron Man alone.
really,
Yeah, I'm pretty close. Cause
damn.
I saw it like, of course, I saw it a few times when it came out, like when I was younger,
Mm,
or like around
hmm.
that age. I've seen it. I saw it on holidays, like alone. I've seen it on the plane. I recently rewatched it. We rewatched it on our Marvel. Were you there? Were you part of
Yeah,
that? Yeah, the Marvel
yeah, 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 yeah.
thing. And then I also rewatched it like a few months ago. So yeah, I'm like 8, 9. So
Okay,
it's a part of me, bro. It's
yeah, definitely that.
he's like the hero I want to be, you know. Oh
Who
man.
I guess that's the question of who is your favorite then.
Oh,
Let's
I
say
won.
phase one only.
Oh,
Phase
phase
one
one
only.
only.
Maybe we
Man,
can come back to it at the
no, but
end.
like, isn't everyone's favorite just Iron Man? I feel like
I think it has to
you
be.
can't.
Yeah.
No, no. I would get the argument for Captain America once you've seen
Mm,
Winter Soldier, because I
yeah, yeah.
feel like before that he's not there yet.
No, yeah, definitely.
Because
And
until
I don't
his
think anyone would say Thor.
because he really needs his like ideology shook before he can become a
Mm,
character. Like Captain
hmm.
America is. Well, we'll get there in a second. Like before that, he's a bit too of much of a
Boy Scout.
yeah Boy Scout. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else about Iron Man?
No.
No. Okay. So can we move on to a much better film. I think maybe 10 tiers above Iron Man, and it's called The
Oh,
Incredible
10
Hulk.
tiers.
Yes.
Yes, I'd back that 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Well,
is there
okay,
to
never
say?
mind. Next one, Iron Man 2.
I
uh
mean, yeah, there's not a huge amount. I mean, it also went down the kind of realistic.
it
Well,
did.
yeah, that's phase one.
It tried to.
It
Uh
tried to.
I think okay, so the reason so I get what you're saying about realistic, right?
Mm,
But the only part that's realistic, semi-realistic, is the whole like potential mutation and not even transformation, but like the whole like
mm,
radiation stuff, right? And like the sciencey
yeah,
stuff. But what I didn't really like was like this whole like military chase stuff.
yeah,
I don't know. It just felt a little bit. I mean, it was in line with like his plot from the comics, right? Like,
mm,
but for like an action movie, it kind of just happened, and I didn't really get some of the character decisions. This was Abomination was in this one, right? I forget if he had a second. No,
yes,
you never
yeah.
got. Yeah,
Abomination
and then
was.
Abomination just kind of happened. Um,
Yeah,
and then there's the girl as well, and that nothing happened with that. I don't know.
it is completely unnecessary for the rest of the MC. RDJ is at the end. That's the only thing that you really
Yeah, he's at the end.
need.
Well,
He's in the post-credit scene.
that's the best part of the movie. I don't know. I feel like there's a reason that they haven't made the Hulk solo film. And even now
Mm,
that Hulk is like kind of more interesting, but they also kind of like ignored his entire arc from Infinity War, but we'll
yeah,
get onto that too eventually.
yeah.
But just as a brief aside about Hulk, I think at this point in time, or at least at when they were starting out with this character, I think the most interesting thing about the Hulk, or
Mm,
to create a story around him, is the fact that he's like a very much a sciencey man that has been put into a compromised position where
yeah.
he has to find kind of balance and emotion within himself in order to have the life he wants. And ultimately, he comes to the conclusion that to keep others safe, he can't have the life he wants, and he secludes himself,
Mm,
which
yeah.
is a sad but kind of potentially could have been an interesting ending, right? So, my vision for this movie, what it could have been, right? Because I feel like this is a
Hmm.
more interesting thing to talk about than the actual movie, is a character who's like about the science and about um, wanting to discover more and wanting to maybe help people with his research. But then the accident happens, and
Mm,
then he goes berserk, and then he kills someone that he cares about because I don't
yeah.
know, like just take elements from like Spider-Man stories, right? And do something that actually like raises the stakes because it never felt in this movie that when he turned into the Hulk that anyone was in danger.
No.
It and CGI had a part to play in this. They could have made this an interesting horror film, you know? I don't know, or something like that. And there's so many ways to go with
Yeah.
this character. He's a deeply
Hmm.
like interesting dual personality character. One is like a basically like a baby rage monster that wants to actually just have a life and be normal, but you know, and then the other is a scientist who wants the normality but has to deal with this like genetic mutation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such a cool like potential story to tell, but instead they're like, oh, yeah,
And then the whole like military.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see. I think it's a tough one to do right, especially as the second film.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think all they had to do was take a little bit more. I think what they realized from this film was that Tony's movie or like Iron Man's origin story movie was better. Of course, that wasn't hard to realize, but that
Mm,
formula was better. You needed a character who's flawed, who needs to grow. You need a villain
mm,
who basically shows all the negative traits that the main character already has. And then you need some kind of journey that brings him to a conclusion that he has to overcome those differences in order to win and then become a hero. You know
mm,
that's the tale of this hero. He has to ultimately overcome the challenges he needs to in order to be a hero. So, but the Hulk doesn't do that. He like fights
Yeah.
Abomination in the city and kills everyone, but he doesn't feel
Yeah.
dangerous doing it. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a reason it is forgotten and overlooked, I
Mm,
feel, even if it is part of phase one.
yes, the worst part of Phase One.
Yeah, probably. Well,
So,
definitely.
so what do you think of the recasting?
I What was the reason for the recast? Was this a money one or was it just
I think this was just. Oh no! So I'm pretty sure he was promised more creative control,
mm,
and then he didn't get it. So there
okay.
was like
So
conflict
he
in that.
walked.
So he walked. Yeah, his name was Edward Norton. I forget. I always forget his name.
Edward Norton, yeah.
I don't think he's in anything else these days, right? Does he make movies much?
I haven't heard that name in
Oh,
reference to anything else.
he was in Glass Onion.
Okay.
I don't know to what extent. I haven't seen the movie.
He's in some stuff.
Yeah, like he's been around, just not to the not mainstream, I guess is the
Mm.
way to say it. Yeah,
It
some
was
stuff.
due to disagreements with the production company, so yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So
that he left.
yeah, yeah. What do you think of the recasting though, Ruffalo?
I think he works well as bringing that sort of character that you said, that scientist
Mm,
who's as a contrast to the Hulk, at least in the earlier films, because
yeah,
he's quite a awkward but likable kind of guy,
exactly.
and then Hulk is a killing machine, kind of. I don't know. What did you think?
Um, I think he's closer to the idea of what I was talking about, like this kind of more complex character, which they kind of explore a little bit in Avengers. Like
Yeah.
they never say it explicitly, but like you could tell by the way that he was kind of acting like after the Thor fight and before that as well, and like how he was talking to
Mhm.
Iron Man about the Hulk inside him.
Yeah.
So I think there were elements of that. Of course, there's only so much you can explore in a team up movie, and because his original movie didn't do him justice.
Mm.
But I think Ruffalo did a good job, and
Yeah.
I like him as well, like as an actor.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I think that is enough said about. I
That's-
mean, I think this is another movie. I mean, CGI is always a hard thing to pin down, right? Because even nowadays, like
mm.
they tend to overdo it with some things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I've never been too big of a I've never had too much of a problem with CGI. Like I know that some people are pretty upset when it looks bad, but that's never my problem, right? Like the biggest rant I went on about this movie was like the plot and the characters and stuff. I
It's
r-
a
I
story.
I rarely complain about action sequences with CGI. I think that's fine. Like it's watchable.
Yeah, you can put up with it
Yeah.
if the story doesn't have heavy lifting to sort of make you keep you engaged.
Yes, exactly.
But if it's just awful, then you don't want to watch anyway. And then the CGI is another reason to stop watching.
Yes. I never finished this
Yeah.
movie the first time.
Really?
I think I only finished it when we watched it together.
Oh my god. I mean, that's the only time I've watched it, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So, now that we've talked about that, we can get on to back to Iron Man because
Back to Iron
for
Man.
some reason he got 2 in the first phase.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2.
Still good. Still
Was
good.
it?
Not. It's still alright.
Okay, okay.
It's better than like Thor 2.
Okay, of course. No. But that's like that's the I'm comparing
That's not
sorry.
saying much.
The context of which I'm reacting to is isn't this the worst of the 3 Iron Man movies? Or do you think 3 is worse? Cuz one's obviously the
No,
best.
I think this is the
You
worst.
think this is the worst as well,
I,
right?
I think so, yeah. It's not too bad.
No, it's not. Where do we start about this? I guess we start with plot again. So, a man who he hates his father, right? That's why he's going after him.
Yep.
So, Russian
Yeah.
man who hates his father, the bird with a bird. He's got a bird.
Yeah.
He breaks out of prison, makes an arc reactor, and tries to kill Tony at a F1
At the
race.
racetrack.
That's
As Monaco, right?
Yes, but somehow he got into the race, which I still don't know how to this day. Elon Musk was in this movie.
Oh, I forgot, yeah.
And then stuff happens. Hammer adopts this Russian man, Justin Hammer, and then they have another no. Oh, and then Tony goes on this arc about like not dying. Oh, and there's a huge convention. He discovers a new element. Wait,
Yep,
no, no, no.
yep,
Is that
and
the next movie?
creates it. No, it was
Oh
in
yeah, it is
this
this movie. It is
film
this movie. Yeah,
because he needs to find something that will power the arc
yeah. So
reactor
that it
without
doesn't kill
killing
him.
him.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then then his father tells him that he was proud of him. Yeah, and then he realizes that he is good at stuff and
Yeah,
invents new element because that's within the laws of physics and stuff. That
of course.
and also he's like Tony Stark. Of course, he's gonna invent a new element. Actually,
Yeah.
just before I finish this like plot synopsis, what was that? What is this whole map that shows the atomic structure of an atom?
Oh, I don't
Uh,
remember. I
even as like a 10-year-old boy, I I I liked the laser that he made, the collider he
Yeah,
made,
that was cool.
but the whole like I don't know. I had no understanding of what an atom was at the time, but this I could tell that the BS was very strong. I was like, they are
Okay.
pushing it. Uh,
Very contrived.
yeah, and then
Really.
he teams up with his new best friend. Yes, I say new because he is new.
A guy who believes one times one is one.
Who also, by the way, his suit got upgraded by the same guy who is funding the villain of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they fight, and he kisses and gets the girl.
I mean, the bit that sticks in my mind from this film is the suit up scene on the racetrack with
That's the
the
best part.
briefcase.
It's the best
That is
part.
really the best part.
The thing is, right? Okay, okay. So in comparison, right, the suit up scenes from the first movie were really good, but
Mm,
wasn't like shooting a tank cooler. Wasn't like
yeah,
the final fight kind of cooler. Wasn't like all the
yeah, yeah.
flying with the jets cooler. Like, why is the best part of this movie a suitcase suit up, which was so incredibly forced, by the way? I don't know. It was cool. It's unbelievable. It was my favorite suit for
That's
a long.
cool.
I think even
Yeah.
after Avengers, it was still my favorite suit. I wanted him to bring it back,
Mm,
and
mm-hmm.
you know how in pulls out the watch arc reactor hand and fights the Winter Soldier.
Oh, it was like yeah, yeah, on his watch and it had the repulsor.
Yeah, yeah. So that kind of was like a kind of small callback for me, and I was like, no, because it was the but whatever. I wish they brought back
Mm,
the suitcase suit, but instead we get nanotech,
nanotech.
nanotech.
Yeah. Any other bits which stick in your head?
Well, I mean, I wanted to ask. So I did that plot synopsis, right?
Mm.
What do you think of the plot, since we're talking about it?
It's it had potential to be.
When you say that, like, what part of it had potential?
I think they could have done better with the character of Whiplash. I don't remember his actual name.
No, yeah, it's just Whiplash to me. It's some Russian name.
Yeah, prison.
Hammer paid for his trip out. He paid for everything out. Like, he got him like exported out so that he could build the army
Mm,
for him.
mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, robot better than man."
Where is my board?
Bored. I think that the problem with this movie, you're right about like the Russian guy being kind of like shallow, right? He's just kind of like
Mm,
evil for the sake of it, right? Like even if you have a vendetta against like Howard Stark, why are you like just
yeah,
creating a robot army? He's kind of just crazy for the sake of it. So like
yeah.
setting that evil villain aside, I think that they did Justin Hammer dirty. They made him like the punchline of
Mm,
too many jokes. And he kind of like at no point was he an antagonist in any way, which maybe that was intentional, but I wish he was menacing, you know?
yeah, I can see that.
Could have been more interesting that way. Where so it would have been cool if Whiplash was his physical counter, and
Mm.
Hammer was like a more like maniacal like thinker.
Yeah, yeah, like
So
a reflection of him, kind of.
exactly. So you have two parts, right? That he has to
Yeah.
compensate for Whiplash's strength with his suit, and then he's having this mental block because he's dying, so he's unable
Mm.
to outmaneuver mentally the Hammer's like plan. So it could have been a really cool like two pronged villain movie, and Iron Man
Yeah.
whilst Iron Man still goes on his arc about like trying to find himself and being getting his father's approval or whatever, like sure, like that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Like
We
I
can
thought
keep
that
that.
was
Yeah.
a fine part.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even care that much about the whole element thing.
Except the element is the it's where it's the map of the convention.
My greatest invention will always be you. Damn. That hit diff, bro.
Oh no, no, I was gonna say I think the cool thing in Iron Man 2, or like one of the cool things, is that when his suit gets overloaded by the electricity, and then in
And yeah,
Avengers
yeah.
when Thor fights him, it like charges the suit instead of completely messing it up.
Yeah,
It shows that he kind of like upgrades different
this
parts.
is not the only time. I think
Yeah, no, no, definitely not.
it's I think in almost every instance, someone did a clip about it. Every instance that Iron
Mm,
Man was defeated or like some of his tools didn't work for some reason,
yeah.
his next suit or the next time you saw a suit would solve that previous problem.
Hmm.
Like every single time you
Yeah.
can find like one example of it. So you just came up with like a really cool one that he did. That was I don't know. I can't think of the exact scenarios off the top of my head, but like oh like the whole like not having a suit, and then in Iron Man 3 he has one that can come to him.
Oh
Things
yeah.
like that. So like just constantly evolving. And then of course I kind of liked how they concluded that with Iron Man 3 where it's like maybe you
Mm.
don't need to, you know? Maybe you can maybe you are Iron Man.
Well, yeah.
So okay, so I get that this was a movie that was like meant to like after the hype of the success of the first movie,
Mm.
but was it needed? I don't think so. I think that Phase One would have been the exact same if this movie didn't exist.
You have some slight character development,
I
but
guess, yeah. I guess, yeah.
that's about it really. And I guess the whole
But
needing the new element or whatever.
yeah, but
But
like
that's just completely made up for
yeah,
this
they
film.
brought it up for this film, right? Like they didn't say anything
Yeah.
about that in the first film.
Mm.
No, so yeah, you're right about the character development a little bit. I think that the biggest part about him having compassion was the most relevant for the Avengers movies, right? Like
Mm.
and actually I think we'll get onto that later, but I think they kind of reset all their characters for the Avengers movie anyway. So
Yeah.
this was kind of like Black Widow Nick Fury movie for a bit. Like
Oh
not
yeah.
really, but it was like, oh, here are these characters that the most people wouldn't recognize. And
Yeah.
you saw this guy at the end of the first movie, so he's back and he's giving
Mm.
some speech about something and Shield is being formed. Sorry, what is it?
Mm.
Strategic Homeland.
Oh, I don't remember the
Oh, it's a good quiz. Okay, you gotta go. You gotta continue.
acronym.
Can't Google it.
Like logistics or
No, but
logistical.
what's the E?
E,
Shield.
enforcement.
So, strategic homeland
Sure.
intervention and enforcement logistics department. That's our final answer. I am
I feel like
checking.
E is wrong.
I feel like I is wrong.
Really? I feel
Uh
like we're just wrong. Strategic Hazard Intervention
no,
Espionage
no.
Logistics Directorate.
Not hazard. It is homeland.
Oh no, no, I'm looking at a different one.
Yeah,
The comics one.
strategic homeland intervention
Oh my
enforcement and logistics division.
god. Okay, okay.
We were
Hey, that's not too
we
bad.
were really close.
It's different in the MCU to the
Oh, I
comics.
see. So I only actually remember the MCU one. That's why.
Mm.
Oh, but also, what's his name? Coulson showed up as well. So
Yeah.
his first showing. I really like Agent Coulson. Rip Agent Coulson. He's totally dead.
Yeah, well, for the films, yeah.
Yes.
Agents of Shield. Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm. Oh, we gotta talk about that someday. I don't know how much
I
of
need
that
to
you watch.
watch it
You
then
never
if
watched it?
if you want to talk about. I watched like
uh,
season one
I
maybe, and that was
watched I
it.
think 3 or 4 seasons.
Uh-huh.
I don't
When
know.
did it become officially like non-canon?
I think it became non-canon pretty like from like season 4 or something. But the thing is, it
Really?
became non-canon. But it still followed movie events pretty closely.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
How many seasons is it up to now? It's on like 7 seasons. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it ended on 7 seasons. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in 2020.
2020, damn.
The thing is, I actually enjoyed it. Right, like I really like spy films and stuff.
Mm.
It's just I wish they kept it that way, because they started going into like mutants and powers and like
Um,
giving each character some cool thing to do. I wish they just kept it like a cool kind of futuristic spy espionage TV show.
mm-hmm.
But No,
Is it
I wanted
like
the villains to keep having powers because that's the whole point, right? You got to kind of
yeah,
solve
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But then when they started giving the heroes powers, I was just like, ah. And they also tackled a little bit about Inhumans. So
Okay.
that was like, yeah. So they do a whole. There's a big arc, and one of the main characters is an
Well,
Inhuman.
that's why it's non-canon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't want to deal with that.
Anyway, we are at Thor.
Oh,
Thor. Thor 1. I actually like this film.
yeah, it's enjoyable, definitely.
But okay, what do you think the biggest problems were with Thor 1?
Actually, yeah. Sorry,
Exactly,
what?
right? I don't know if it's maybe
Yeah.
because you don't remember exactly what happened in the movie.
Mm,
There are obviously problems, but I can't think of anything that egregious with this film that some people have
no.
said to it before. Like I've heard some pretty upsetting opinions about this movie. But
Okay, I'd be interested to see what the main issues were. There's nothing like
nothing
that
egregious, right?
stands out as being yeah, nothing egregious.
It just kind of is. It's there, it happens and it's cool and it's fun. And my main problem was it was a little bit like a little bit cheesy, a little bit tacky for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just I kind of like, I know that we don't talk about the second Thor film, but I kind of like that they kind of matured the outfit a little bit more, and they kept doing that throughout the
Yeah,
films for Thor. I
that
didn't
was cool.
really like that this like Nordic
Norse mythology.
Norse, yeah, like this Norse god is wearing this like very silvery, shiny, tacky outfit that's like, I
Yeah,
don't know. It doesn't look like armor; it looks like plastic. So
it looked kind of like cosplay. Yeah.
yeah, so that was my problem with the first film. But I don't know. I kind of enjoyed the whole like Loki, Frost Giant, Thor trying to get his worth. Like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
dealing with characters. It's dealing with a simpler plot. I didn't enjoy,
Mm.
of course, like the whole like the metal
Which thing?
destroyer,
The
right?
Destroyer.
Yeah. I didn't really like that that was the conclusion. I think it would have been a cool. I know that they were saving Loki for Avengers, but
Mm.
how cool would it have been to see Loki v Thor as the final battle of Thor?
That yeah, that would have been good. Makes sense as well from a character point of
Yeah,
view. But
exactly.
yeah, I suppose they had to save him.
They had to save that. And they never actually got to have that 1v1, right? Or anything. Ever.
Mm.
Maybe they were never meant to be pit against each other, but it would have been cool to
Maybe not.
see the two brothers like kind of settle their differences the Asgardian way.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Cross Giant's pretty cool. Sif and the other people, they're also quite a little bit forgettable. There's sort of
Yeah,
side characters there.
I only remember the girl, and I don't even remember her name. Oh no, but I like Heimdall.
It was Sif, wasn't it? Oh,
We
Heimdall.
love
Yeah, yeah.
Heimdall.
Heimdall is my guy.
Heimdall, my goat.
Yeah.
Idris Elba as well.
Mm.
So
Mm.
how could you go wrong? Eldris,
Idris Elba,
Idris Elba.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Oh, and I liked Odin.
Mm.
I mean, you can never go wrong with Anthony Hopkins. You can never go wrong with Anthony Hopkins.
No.
What a what a stellar man. So yeah, casting is fine. I think, I don't know. Just it was like, I feel like Thor is like the definition of like an average Marvel film. Like one where
Mm.
you're like
Mm.
some stuff that could have gone better, but like it was still fun. Would you
Yeah.
ever watch it again? Probably not.
Like yeah, no tremendous flaws, but nothing really stand out.
Yeah.
Just quite like solid-ish.
If only they could have kept doing this with some of the recent films.
Great to stop.
I'm
No,
gonna
yeah.
keep shitting on.
It's kind of true though.
I don't know. Was it so hard? Ant Man and
Ant-Man,
how could they do
Kang,
Doctor Strange so dirty,
Oh,
man?
that was sad.
Imagine Doctor Strange, but like it could have been like a Spider Verse, like something cool
Oh.
instead of Wanda. Oh, I want
And the
kids.
bit that really got me was America Chavez gets told like, "Oh, you just gotta believe in yourself. You can do it," and then she's able to defeat Wanda. It's like, wow.
But I like the theme. I like the theme
Yeah.
of Strange letting go of control.
Mm.
But the way that they did it was not right because
No.
he didn't really let go of control. Because in an ideal world where you want this theme to be realized, you don't want him to be in that world at all, and you don't want him to try to go to that world. I think that if that
Yeah.
was the ultimate goal of the, I think. I know that he didn't go up to the world, but like resurrecting a dead guy in another world is not letting go of control, is not giving
No.
the spoon away. Telling a girl who's like, I don't know how old she is in the canon, but like this child basically that's like
Mm.
not capable of has never fought a hero, a supervillain or whatever before, that she can do it, and using the power of friendship is not the way to realize your theme.
No.
Uh,
Lord. I mean, it's not part of phase one.
I'm
Yeah, but
sorry, but like I
it's
had to call it
yeah,
out. I had to
yeah.
call
It
it
has
out.
to be
It
said.
has to be
Has
said.
to be said. Yeah.
Okay, anything else on Thor? What about Thor as a character? Or Loki as well?
I mean, they're still figuring out who, like, what they want of the characters here, right? So here, Thor is initially just comic relief kind of character, like
Another!
very another. Um, and then I guess it's hard to talk about his arc without talking about the later movies. I think in even in this
So
film
no, but
he
I'm
does
as an
mature.
introduction
Well, he
to
has to mature.
but so I
But yeah, as
think
an introduction it works.
so this is
Sorry.
the second character that they've brought that's kind of like initially cocky, right? It's very
Mm.
very much like a person who believes they're the best. This is the
Yeah.
second one. Now, I think it kind of works well that they butt heads, like Tony and Thor, a
Yeah.
little bit, like the whole fight in Avengers. And
Mhm.
I think that Thor's journey is a little bit different because he still wants to help people, right? Like Tony was never in that field. So, like, it's slightly
Mm.
different. They're both slightly different, but they're both coming from the same roots of, like, of believing that they are entitled to their
Yeah.
privileges. Um, and then, of course, Thor's arc lasts longer and also arguably didn't end the best. But yeah, I think it was a decent intro.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Not as good as an
Oh,
Iron Man.
Hawkeye was introduced.
You could say introduced.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is technically what happened.
there.
He was. I don't know. I think this was a annoying precedent that they set though, because I know
Mm.
the nice thing about Iron Man and even about Hulk was that there were no other, well, except Iron Man 2, but Iron Man 1, just
Mm.
it. It's just an Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
It's not a Iron Man movie. It's not a Spider-Man movie with Iron Man in it. Cough cough. Homecoming. It's not a Thor movie with Hawkeye in it. It's not a. There's so many more that they just being like, you know what? One hero is not enough. We need more. And of course,
Yeah, so it's
the
yeah.
extent they play affects how much I feel about it. But still, simpler times, you know. Like even Captain America,
Exactly.
it's just a Captain America movie.
I guess till the end.
Yeah, of course. To the no, to the end you can
Yeah.
do whatever you want. I just
It's always yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
But
Like they love the setting up.
yeah, I just went on that Doctor Strange rant, right? Like it's a Scarlet Witch movie as well, and what's her name? The Star
Mm.
Girl. I don't know what her power.
America Chavez.
No, but what's her superhero name?
It's just America
Oh,
Chavez.
okay,
I
cool,
think.
whatever.
I don't. Maybe she does have a.
Yeah, but it's a Doctor Strange movie with spoiler alert with the Illuminati and also yeah, everything. I don't know.
The smartest man alive.
Dies instantly. He's so smart.
Bro,
that
bro said the weakness of Black Bolt and then dies instantly.
Thor was good.
Yeah, solid, I think.
We sound so convinced of that. It's just
It's true. It is true.
it's okay. I feel like there's like a category of Marvel movie. There's like a line, right? Where there's some
Mm,
movies where you can like rewatch it anytime. And then there's a
yeah.
line where all the other movies, so there's all the other movies that fall into it where it's only when you do an entire Marvel like what do you call it? Marathon that you rewatch.
Mm,
And Thor falls
yeah.
into that group, that general group.
Yeah,
Like a lot
yeah,
of movies fall into that
definitely.
group. And then there's this very much like the bottom tier that even during a marathon you can consider skipping. There's this very low tier. The
Thor 2?
No, no, okay. Yeah, but Thor falls into that like band of like, I'm never gonna rewatch this unless I have to.
Yeah, yeah.
Captain America,
Captain America,
the
the
first
first
Avenger.
Avenger.
Oh, we should say it together.
Oh, okay.
Can we time it?
We can
So
try.
so 3, 2, 1. Cap.
Captain America. That's where you fucking stop.
I stopped when you started after I stopped.
No, it was together and
Okay, okay.
from my
Three,
point of view.
2, 1, go. Captain
Captain.
America.
You didn't say go on go. Okay. And bro, your laughing cuts out when it gets too loud as well.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
you're just silent.
Okay, okay. Um, what's
On
going?
go.
Go. No, no, no. I was giving up. I was giving.
No go. Oh, you're
Okay,
giving up. Okay,
giving
fine.
up, giving up. Okay. Um, shall we start with plot again? Since we're doing it this structured now, let's start with plot
Hmm.
again. What are your thoughts on the plot of Captain America: The First Avenger?
What was Red Skull trying to do? I was just trying to remember.
Uh, he was trying to kill the
He
world.
launched the bombs, right?
Yeah,
The
that
massive
was the plan.
bombs.
He just
Okay.
rule the world, like win the war.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, destroy like
and he has like unlimited power or something with the Tesseract. That was
yeah, I mean it's solid as
so
well.
solid as well. That's how I'd put it too.
Yeah. Because it's not. See, I didn't even remember like the full
You know,
motivations for Red Skull, but
no, he didn't have any really. Like he was just
yeah,
like
it's just
a Hitler stand-in, right?
yeah, literally, yeah, just meant to be a Nazi. Like with the two arm salute that they were all doing. The oh,
The
Hydra, right?
Hydra, yeah. So you know, when I first watched the movie, I
Mm.
remember very distinctly. I was like, I turned because I didn't know who Chris Evans was, right? I was still like kind of young, and I turned to my dad and I was like, "Wait, so how did they make that really skinny guy so buff so quickly? You think it's real?" I had no idea they actually. If anything, my brain was like, "Wow, they maintained this like CGI buff guy for the whole movie." I didn't realize that they did it the other way around
Yeah.
until much
Okay.
later, like much much later.
Oh
But it
my.
was kind of funny for a long time. I was just like, wow, Chris Evans, you know, what if he actually had a glow up? But he was
That
all
would be very impressive. No, yeah.
yeah, but he was already hot. And of course, rewatching it does look very unnatural in my opinion when he's
Yeah,
skinny.
I guess as a kid and yeah,
Yeah,
at that time,
at that time.
fair enough. I
But
mean, the character's cool, always.
all the characters?
No, no, not all. But I like the setup for Bucky
Yes.
and the uh, I mean, like Cap showing the
S-
heroic traits even as the skinny guy, and
Yeah.
that's what they were trying to show, right?
And Peggy
Like,
was kind of already like I like that Peggy was already kind of like liking him before he got buff. Cause
mm.
I don't know, it would have felt a really weird if she was just like, "Oh, he's hot now."
Yeah.
It kind of did, when I first watched it, it did. I got that impression initially, but like on rewatching it,
Mm.
it does feel like it's a little bit more natural than that. But like at
No,
first, I
yeah,
was
yeah.
just like, "Okay, it's some kind of like BS here." Like,
She only likes him for his muscles.
yeah,
Like,
I
no,
mean, who doesn't, right?
it's not true. I mean, yeah.
No, yeah, no, no. We like Chris Evans.
Who
Okay,
isn't?
before the whole like bit where he like saves everyone, or at least including that, it just all feels a little bit too fantastical. I feel like almost Iron Man's like progression was
Mm,
more realistic than Steve's. Now my argument for that is that it just didn't I don't know, it just doesn't feel realistic. Like I guess yes, he got like stronger,
mm,
or maybe it's just the way that the serum looks as opposed to what it actually does, right? Like he's meant to be like peak of human strength, right? But
yeah.
the way that it looked was just like he's stronger and he's faster, But you can't like win a war on your own like that, right? It's not like they have an army of superheroes. It kind of feels like they kind of just won the war because he was Captain America.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm getting like a little bit lost in my thoughts, but that was just kind of how I felt. And also from another side of it, it just didn't feel very like gruesome or grueling. It felt very like comedic. Like they focused very
Yeah.
much on like the entertainment side, so we never got to
Uh-huh.
actually see people like suffer or die. And this was
Like
early day
the
of Marvel,
horrors of
right?
yeah.
So they didn't want to do R rated or anything like that. But still,
Yeah, fair.
it it just didn't. It lacked like his sacrifice was good, but imagine if his sacrifice was good and also I don't know, there was a lot more going on in terms of like suffering. I know Bucky died. That was good. Bucky was good that he
Mm.
died. Um,
Yeah.
but it would have been cool if like more people died.
You just wanted to see them all die.
No, but I don't know.
I yeah, I suppose it didn't show all those kind of the horrifying things that happen in war, but
And
I suppose as a Captain America film, it kind of has a bit more hope, I
yeah,
guess.
I guess. No, no, I think you're right. Yeah. But okay, so since it's a Captain America film, what about Steve, right? Steve Rogers, right?
Mm.
So we talk about Bucky, we talk about a little bit about Peggy, but Steve Rogers, he's the first Avenger.
Yeah.
He is a man of righteousness and hope and kind of too good
He is a bit one-dimensional, I guess.
in this
Yeah.
movie. Yeah,
In this movie, yeah, yeah.
yeah. He's just
Like they need time to flesh him out.
he's kind of like the straight man, right? Like the I gotta go save these people, and
Yeah.
it's kind of hot, but like still, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Tony was, like even Thor like grew. Even uh, I was gonna say Bruce Banner, but not really. But Thor and
He physically grew.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Thor and Tony grew. Just feels like this was maybe his sacrifice was how he grew, but not really. That was something he would do anyway, right? Like maybe that wasn't the point. Maybe the point is that he is this man that is unrivaled, but I don't know.
I mean, making a movie about a perfect man is kind of boring.
But that's what they did.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in Winter Soldier, that's where they kind of
Mm.
properly took it to like, yeah, to flesh out his character to kind
Yeah,
of show.
yeah, but that's a different director, right? Like, so I just feel like this movie, like,
Yeah.
maybe at this point in time there was not much to work with, but still, I don't
Mm.
know. Maybe not all like characters have to. That was the problem, right? The villain was kind of just generic villain, and he was just kind of generic hero. It
Yeah.
in terms of a
Like pure
character,
evil and pure good.
yeah, there was no like there's no character driven stuff in this movie. It's very much like
Mm.
plot driven, like very much like story driven.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's about the events. Yeah, yeah. It it is kind of uh, like a kid's book, right? Where it's, the perfect hero fights against the pure
And he
evil
sacrifices
villain,
himself.
and he's just a stand-in for the
I
Nazis.
did like that he. So the thing I did like about him sacrificing himself, I know that he would have done it anyway,
Mm.
but there he is losing a lot, right? It's not maybe not
Yeah,
his
yeah,
life,
personally, yeah.
but he does lose. His sacrifice means a lot, which is good. That's the best part, because he loses his future with Peggy.
Yeah,
Of course,
like a whole lifetime.
spoiler, he doesn't, but he does. He does. At the time, he doesn't know that. So
Yeah,
he is giving up his life. He's giving up his future. He's giving up everything so that the world can be happy. So would you
yeah.
say that this movie didn't you know how like there's like the whole Marvel formula discourse? Like at some point, I feel like it's no
Uh-huh.
longer a thing, but I feel like for a time there was a big like Marvel formula discourse about how every film was kind of the same, at least every like
Yeah.
solo film. But I'm bringing this up because I think that I feel like this movie didn't follow that formula that they were starting to develop with like Thor and Iron Man.
Mm.
It was kind of like
I
its own thing.
yeah, I mean, all the ones in Phase One are kind of reasonably distinct
Yeah.
from one another. I guess in tone and
Mm.
yeah, they don't follow that formula. I think.
Yeah, I guess they
I'm
were
not
still
sure.
experimenting.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Oh no, I don't know when the sort of peak of that discourse would have happened, like when the formula was kind of most prominent.
I feel like it was around phase 2. Like
Maybe, yeah,
where they
yeah.
started like where the comedy started becoming homogenized. Cuz
Mm,
cuz you could tell that like even in Captain America, right? Like that's not really that usual like everyone's sarcastically witty, whereas
yeah.
like Ant-Man everyone's like taking jabs at each other, or Iron Man
Yeah.
3 or whatever. Like every time it's just like, "Oh, you know, haha, something funny. Haha."
He's right behind me, isn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah, like that.
Or
Like every
stuff like that.
but
I
that's one part of it, right? And then they started doing
yeah.
stuff with like characters doing the same thing. Of course, this doesn't follow. It's not always the same in sequels. I'm just talking about like origin stories. So there aren't
Mm.
that many, but I think that there was starting to like this formula was starting to like become more prevalent in later films.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, which was the best Phase One film before Avengers? Then
I mean,
I,
I think we've said it basically
shit.
already.
Okay, if you're not allowed to say Iron Man one, what was the second best?
Incredible
No,
one.
I think I don't know. I think it's a tough one to say what's second best.
It is tough if you exclude Avengers and Iron Man.
Yeah, what's the third best Phase One movie?
I mean, you
No,
can you
it's not
can
very
rule
interesting.
out an incredible film.
Oh,
Um,
truly incredible.
I think you can rule out Iron Man too.
Okay, so yeah, is it Thor or
It's
Captain
yeah.
America?
I mean, we were saying that Thor didn't have any kind of standout flaws,
I
like
think
egregious flaws.
strangely, I think Thor is the better film. I,
I
I
yeah. I feel like I enjoyed Cap
more.
more,
Oh, I see that though. Yeah.
but I think I've watched it more than Thor.
Mm, I have too. I okay. So I know that I was going on about Captain like Steve Rogers being like a boring character, right? But there is
Mm,
something rewarding about seeing a person who's like had the short end of the stick and being like rewarded for their uh positive actions, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's something cool in that, like someone who, no matter their size, will stick up for the little guy,
Just doing the right thing,
doing the right thing.
always,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah,
So there's some merit
yeah,
to it, but in the at the end of the day, he is too good.
yeah. So what's the answer then?
Well, the answer is whatever you like because it's your opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, it's subjective, isn't
What
it? But
a cop
what's
out.
your answer then?
My answer's Thor, but
Okay.
I would still probably watch Captain America more. That's weird to say.
Yeah, I would say Cap is for me.
Okay, that's cool. So let's talk
Uh,
about the Avengers.
no, I mean it was just un
Oh,
unprecedented.
was there anything like this before? No, right? No.
Not in the same way, no. Like
It
people were saying it couldn't be done properly
yeah,
because there was no
because no, but there were like team up movies before, right? Not team up, but like multiple hero movies before, right? Like
X-Men,
X-Men, right? And those weren't terrible. They weren't great.
but they're not a mainstay in
Exactly. Yeah.
like pop culture like Avengers was.
Yeah, I don't know you, but the thing is, none of these characters like I don't know like in isolation. Hulk at the time, I
Mm,
guess Iron Man you can make an. I think Iron Man is the one you can make an argument for just because of the concept. But like I feel like
mm,
Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, like
Okay.
What are these characters? Who sat down in that boardroom and went, okay, we need to make a really big film, and it's gonna be big. Okay, what characters do you want? You want like you want Wolverine? You want the
Yeah.
Fantastic Four? You want Spider Man? Spider Man. Now, of course, they couldn't have Spider Man, right? But the point I'm
Yeah.
trying to say is that of the mainstream characters they could have gone for, they're like, okay, I want the guy that can shoot a bow. And what about
I mean, a lot of it will have come down to rights issues, though.
yes,
Like
yes,
X-Men,
no,
they couldn't
yes,
touch.
yes.
Spider-Man, they couldn't touch.
I
The
understand that,
Fantastic Four.
but I'm still saying that the character choices were not necessarily the most obvious, right? Like, obviously, there's more
Mm,
thought into this, but just like
yeah.
at a
Yeah, yeah.
glance, right? Okay, you got a man with a bow, you got a woman. What are her powers again?
Black Widow,
What are her powers again?
being hot
Yeah, oh,
and
wow.
doing gymnastics and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That leg,
The
the
one
one
move she
shot where she
has.
like wraps her
I
legs
don't think
around
that's
their
gonna
head and
work
brings them to the
against
ground.
the Chitari, bro.
Against the Shatari, the big
I
like
think she
flying
did do it
alien
though.
thing. Did she?
Not against the big ones, but like the small ones.
She did it on maybe on
I
one of
don't
the
remember.
small
I don't
ones.
remember. But yeah, so you got a man with a bow, you got the guy with the eye patch, you got the woman who's hot. And then okay, now you're getting into the powers. Okay, well, what does the leader do? What does the leader do? He's got a shield. and, and he's strong. I don't know, man. It doesn't like when you think of like cool superpowers, you think of like Superman and
Mm.
Batman and things like that, right? Okay, not Batman.
Batman has no
Batman was
powers.
Batman was a choice to say, but like you could think of these like the Flash and like other characters that are like really
Green
OP.
Lantern, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And like
Or just the
exciting.
Justice League, basically.
And then yeah, the Justice League, like just exciting, fun. Like that's the point of being superheroes, right? They're super. They're not
Mm.
just people. And then there's like an Iron Man, right? Like what's he without the suit, bro?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? If you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have the suit.
Wait a minute. That wasn't the movie I was referencing. I was trying to get you to say
Yeah,
the Steve line, but you said the Tony line from way
I
later.
said the Tony line. Just a man in suit. Take it off. What are you? Is
Billionaire,
that
playboy,
Vince?
philanthropist.
There we are.
Is that it? Or does he say genius?
Um,
Genius, playboy, philanthropist.
Genius, billionaire, playboy,
Ah, I missed one.
philanthropist.
Okay.
In some order. In
In some
some
order,
order.
some permutation of those words.
Yeah, up to permutation.
We'll bring it back to math. Okay. My whole rant is that these unassuming, very unpredictable, or maybe that's not the right word, but like unassuming, and you put them in a room, and now you've created the biggest franchise on earth.
It's not who you'd predict that they'd choose out of all the heroes.
Mm.
Like maybe part of it like was CGI, but I mean no, probably not because they've animated like the whole Chitauri army.
Yeah,
Chitauri, I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know.
it's
I
cool.
guess it's making it slightly more grounded in a way. It's like, yeah, I could be part of that team,
Yes, yes.
but why so many?
But there's a build up, Like I think that
Yeah.
it was also the first time that these characters that you've seen from different places and like kind
Mm,
of got to know because okay, I would wager that not talking about rewatching, but like the first round of people watching the Avengers movie, right? So you've got
mm,
some amount that are like comic book fans, right? And then you've
yeah.
got I think a majority who've at least seen one of the other like four or five uh is it five? Yeah, five previous movies. You just
Hmm.
and having seen at least one and hopefully two or maybe three, you're kind of like you're not really watching one movie, you're watching like six movies in one go. I know it's not like that, but what I'm trying to say it's like you're getting six movies worth of character development or
Yeah,
of
yeah,
of
yeah.
of stories because these characters are coming from places with their own stories and backgrounds and interests, right? So
And they have to try and bring that together in a way that sort of the casual audience
yes,
also can
exactly.
watch.
And that's kind of like masterful that they managed to do that.
Yeah, that's why people were saying it can't be done.
Mm-hmm. I
And yeah, it was masterful. They really struck that balance between, developing each of the characters, but also bringing them together as a team and making it watchable at the same time.
I mean, it's not without faults, right?
No.
But I mean, but when you have like a shot in the middle of a giant battle of your heroes in a circle with the Avengers
Oh,
theme playing, like, oh my god.
oh, it's outstanding.
Like, wait, where's the clapping sound? That was the moment. That was
Oh,
it.
where do you want the clapping
Yeah, that
sound?
was your time. That was your moment.
Oh, it's too
Oh,
late now.
no, it's fine. I cut it. No, no, don't play both. No, you needed to play that earlier as well. At some point, that was a good point for that.
I haven't been on the soundboards, I have to say.
Yeah, it's okay. I wonder how that sound in post. Also, I can always add it in post. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's anything else about Avengers? I kind of made sweeping statements. I don't know if you wanted to talk
Mm-mm.
about anything in specific, anything you thought
Like
was cool.
specifically,
Yeah. Events, moments, Loki.
Loki. Loki is a villain.
Yeah, you could talk about that if you wanted to.
Thanos.
No, we don't talk about Thanos yet. Well,
We
we
don't
can.
talk.
You
Are we
can.
saving Thanos?
Yeah, we have to say Thanos.
Okay.
Well, if you want to talk about Thanos in this movie, you can, but I think he's
No,
kind of.
I didn't. They made him purple in this, like
Yeah.
fully,
But I also think that,
fully
like,
purple.
I mean, in my mind, this Thanos doesn't exist, right? The kind of guy that, like, smiles at an alien invasion, right? It's not canon
Fine.
Thanos anymore.
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, that one is more so, but, like, this Thanos where he's, like, smiling after he lost the war, it just doesn't, it's not the
Mm.
character that they finally made. It
No,
took some
no,
time.
definitely.
Like, he is very much just like, this was very much just like a cameo, right? Like a fan service.
Yeah.
If you know who you
Like
know.
they're setting up where they want it to
Yeah,
go,
but they don't
where
actually
they were
know
hoping.
what they want from this character yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Loki is a villain, charismatic,
Mm.
and
And
I
prideful.
don't know. Yeah, prideful, and that was his downfall.
And what is the word where you're like, you you're like born into royalty, so you deserve it or something, you know? Like, no,
Entitled,
yeah,
maybe.
entitled, no, noble something. I forget the word. Whatever. Yeah,
Mm,
entitled. So just
yeah. I mean, it made him likable enough that they could bring him back for as a hero,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. People loved him.
Eventually,
I
yeah.
mean, they also took like something from each movie, right? I remember seeing this. It's like they took Thor's villain. They
Mm.
took Captain America's MacGuffin with the Tesseract.
Oh yeah.
And then Tony's tower or something. I don't know what he provided. Something else, I forget. But they took something from each of the movies. They're like trying to bring it together.
Ah,
So it's
okay.
kind of like,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's like a more layered superhero film.
Yeah.
I also kind of enjoyed the subplot of the Natasha and what's his name? What's his real name? Not real name. Not real name. Superhero real name.
Clint.
Clint. Yes. I enjoyed that subplot. I think it was cute. Friendship overcoming.
Yeah, yeah, like purely platonic friendship, yeah.
And like, yeah, and like overcoming brainwashing and fighting, and it was like just a
Mm.
small, like another little small grounded thing
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah. Oh, stuff on the helicarrier.
mm,
That was a very cool setting.
it is really cool. Right out of the water.
Yeah, yeah, the scenes with that, like, and then restarting the engine, Iron Man restarting the
Oh,
engine
that
while
was such a
flying.
good scene.
Yeah.
It just felt so like real, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like this flying jet carrier in the middle of the air felt
Yeah.
real. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you completely believe that. Yeah,
It just it did,
they
and
sold
it
it
looks
so
so
well.
good as well. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, like all the parts and the explosions. Of course, the most unrealistic part was the whole gunshot part, right, where they like shooting and missing every bullet. But that didn't matter, right? There was a lot
Mm.
of stakes there. Like the whole like
Mm-hmm.
engine could have killed Tony, had to slow it down, and then but there were so
Yeah.
many other little moments, right? Like with the Thor Hulk fight, the initial Tony Steve and Thor fight, and the explosion and the electricity.
The Hulk chase through the helicarrier.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Yeah,
Uh,
lots of good moments.
what's his name? Coulson dying.
Oh, yeah.
Ev-
Or is he? Or is he? Hmm.
he died.
Hmm.
Okay, in my mind, he died.
Did Canon he die?
No,
Like if you discard
I think he's
the
alive.
show.
I think they made a statement about it a while. This is so old now; it doesn't matter, right? But
Yeah,
I
it's
think they made a
irrelevant.
statement about it, saying that like in canon or like in MCU, he's dead. Like he's not coming back.
Okay, okay.
But whether or not that is canon is up in the air, right? Like whether like just
Mm.
because he's not coming back doesn't mean he's not alive canon wise,
Yeah,
canonically.
yeah, Canon.
Right.
Maybe Agents of Shield is just him dreaming before he actually dies.
Wow,
The whole thing.
it's kind of deep, bro.
It's like
How do you know he doesn't die at the end?
I don't know.
Yes. I mean, there are some criticisms. You got any criticisms for Avengers? Since we're like just.
Not really that spring to mind. I also am afflicted with nostalgia as well.
I am, but I do have one. Oh, I do have a few. I
Okay.
always have a few. I think I can criticize any movie if I wanted to. That's
Yeah,
one of my
yeah.
problems. I can't appreciate anything anymore. It's always like, but what if, you know? No, but this isn't even a what if. This is more of a.
No.
So, so I think my biggest criticism, which is kind of like, it's kind of unfair because it's a natural thing that has to happen, right? The Josh Whedon's choice to try to bring these characters together, he kind of
Mm.
reset them a little bit.
Okay.
So not entirely, like they still went through. They're still like good people, and they went through their arcs, right? No, but what
Yeah,
I'm trying
yeah.
to say is that Tony went back to being a little bit more like cocky and more self-centered, and of
Yeah.
course, through the course of the movie, they mellow out. But it just feels a little bit they lost some of the character development they went through, and like Thor is very much this
Just
hi-
dumb.
dumb guy that's like, oh, yeah, brother,
Sexy dumb man.
sexy
Yeah.
dumb man. So I did appreciate they used Coulson's death effectively to bring them
Mm-hmm.
together.
Like sober them up. Yeah.
So there was like that. But yeah, that's my main one. And then as a kid, I laughed a lot, but I think the humor's not as good as I remember.
It
Like
was the start of the cringe humor.
yeah, exactly. It was the big one.
Mm.
Each hero kind of getting to shine, you know, like Captain America
Yeah, yeah.
going into that building to save a bunch of people, Iron Man shooting lasers, Thor shooting lightning,
Yeah.
Hawkeye shooting arrows.
Hawkeye existing
and then
and not
well,
dying.
and then Black Widow somehow deactivating the portal.
Oh yeah.
So it's like yeah, everyone kind of shined and used their abilities to their fullest.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And then
It did a good job of showing that,
and
yeah.
we got Mark 6 as well.
Yeah.
I was sick.
Yeah, falling off the building.
Any final thoughts?
No.
I do have some other thoughts about the MCU as a whole and DCU, but I think we'll save that for another episode, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's a
Um,
good point to wrap up, I think.
thank you for watching the Hear Me Out episode, Phase 1,
Yeah.
Marvel Phase 1. Do you have
Yes.
any closing remarks, Dylan?
Okay. Thank you for hearing us out.
Why did you say it like that? Why did you say it like
Thank
that?
you for hearing.
We're on your usual platforms, you know, YouTube, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and everything else. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And yeah, thank you.
And yeah, thanks for hearing us out.